Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. This is JC York with another session of One-on-One with JC York. Today, my special guest is Matt Judge with TJC Event Solutions. He was our February monthly education speaker. Matt, how are you today?
Life is good.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Your session was amazing. Would you mind, before we get into that, introducing yourself to our viewing audience?
Yeah, I come from a varied background. I've been in the business world in different capacities for a long time. I had an import-export business all through the 90s. I speak a couple of other languages, and I ended up as an interpreter for the Formula One race when it came to Indianapolis. And then the management team liked me and brought me on board, so I have been in the events business for the last 20 years.
How did you transition from being an interpreter for the Indy 500 to being in the events industry?
It was interesting. I didn't know there was such a thing as an event planner, but I've always just had a natural ability and drive to do this type of thing. I actually didn't know this profession existed until I wound up in it, and it's where I belong.
Excellent. So your session today, tell us a little bit about that for those that missed.
The session is called How to Sell a Service. It starts with C. And there's a big difference between selling a product and selling a service. You can't take a service back. You can't exchange it. You can't get a different color. And if someone is a service provider, they only get one shot to do this right.
All right, so yeah, obviously a focus on services, and a lot of us are in the service industry without having actual hard, product,
right.
No overhead in the sense of actually physical, tangible thing.
Right.
We're selling space, we're selling air, and a service. So with that, what's the C stand for?
The C stands for credibility. Because what it comes down to is this. When people are looking at potential suppliers, they know they can't take it back when it's done. They know they can't exchange it for a refund. You get one shot to get this right. So everything in the sales development process has to establish you as the one person who's going to come through. You have to be credible and believable because they have to trust you.
All right, so part of your session, you focused on a lot of different things, but I want to maybe follow up with this. How do you establish yourself credibly, and maybe it's a tip or two you might want to share with us, but isn't giving of yourself so much that you give up who you actually are?
That's an interesting point. What actually happens in the sales process is this. I don't believe that there is a killer closing line. I don't believe in the magic bullets or the great sales technique. To me, that's all nonsense. It's the things you do on a day in and day out basis that establish yourself as someone who can be trusted. Do you look like a professional? Do you know how to compose an email without typos in it? Does your office look like someone who is a master of detail, or do you look like a disaster? It's all the little things that make subliminal positives and negatives in the mind of the potential client. They're looking at you and they're gathering information in their minds, but also in their gut. And if they see things, something happens in the course of your interaction. If they see something that makes them go, I don't know, I don't think this guy's going to come through for me, you've lost the sale.
Okay, instead of necessarily an extra tip, how about a giant red flag we should try to avoid if all due possible? Like, what's up on your top 3 list of yikes?
The number one top thing for me when it comes to interaction with potential clients in the events business is punctuality. If you're late on anything, if you're late to anything, what is the message that you just sent to this prospect about your deliverables for this event? You can't get anything done on time.
Excellent. Well, Matt, I appreciate the extra few minutes here. I know you just gave a rousing session, so thank you very much for that. MPI, hope you enjoyed a few extra minutes with One-on-One with Matt Judge and JC York.